Tuesday, so still early in the week. We've come down to, are we in Telford?
We are, just about.
Yeah, we've come down, the reason we've come down is to drop the barn find hours 500 off CMS Porsche, doing the detailing for it. That's on our other video, so we'll walk around that. And we just thought it was a little bit interesting to show you something a little bit different to the norm from obviously our Ford workshops. There's an array of quite special, nice cars here. We'll show you some of them in a bit, but I wanted to introduce you to Steve, the owner of CMS Porsche, and we actually go back quite a long way, don't we?
We were just on about that.
Yeah.
It's got to be at least 25 years, if not nearer 30.
Yeah, it's got to be. And Steve, although now has gone into the Porsche Ferrari and supercar world, you still have your out Fords.
I have, yeah. Still got my well-told cars. I think it'll be the car that buried me with. Although there's been a couple of times they've tried to bury me.
But isn't that funny, you know, all these luxury expensive cars and modern supercars and unbelievable handling, performance and everything. Yeah, you're still very passionate about it. So what have you got in your Fords?
I've got 4 well-told Cosworths, some modified, some standard. The one I've had for must be 16, 17 years. And obviously that's how we met originally. I've got an Stradale 1600i. I've got an XR2 convertible. It's outside. It makes me smile every time I drive it. That's why it's out today because the sun's out. I've got a Focus RS Mark 1.
It's up on the ramp behind
you. Yeah. I've got a couple of Sapphire Cosworths. I've got a Series 1 RS Turbo, which was a barn find. It's a D plate on 24,000 miles or 27,000 miles. And I've got a Fiesta Super Sport, which has tested my patience the past 12 months, I have to say. I bought it, knew it needed a little bit of work, thought the floors, so I bought some floors off Express Panels, put 4 floors in it, single-sided spotlights, all the usual stuff that we do as our trade. But when I actually got into it properly, I found out that one of the chassis makers was made out of silicone filler and Weetabix wrappers. And it got downhill from there. I wish it could fix this one.
But I think it's quite amazing, isn't it, that, you know, the world you're sort of living, for want of a better explanation now, and you've reeled off all them Fords.
Yeah, I love them. I mean, I think I'm very fortunate in the fact that, because I've been working on Porsches now for well over 30 years. I used to work with various specialists, and I'm a painter by trade anyway. So it sort of brought into the forefront the Porsche side of the job. People then started asking me to paint Porsches, then I got into breaking Porsches for used parts, then the workshops appeared, and I work with people now, still like I've worked with for 30 years. And we don't work together now, we're friends, we have a laugh together.
Do you know what? I say that to everybody in my trade. And a bit like us really, we met all them years ago, and we've reconnected through the Ford here, because obviously you guys are detailing for us, which we can't thank them enough for, you know, obviously done that car for us to help us out. But all these years later, I'm blown away that you've still got these cars. You know, when you look around what's in here, and to think you've still got that big collection of Fords, it's quite amazing. But you were touching on your customers become friends.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I have to say about my job, I'm very fortunate, a lot of my customers are really nice people and they're proper friends. Like for example, in the summer on a Saturday morning, the amount of customers that will just come down on the day out, they come down for a bacon butty and a coffee. And I think in the car trade, I think you become one of 2 people. You're either what's deemed a car dealer, which is mainly main dealers, or like you and me, you make friends in the job. You're there to make a living, of course you are. But on the other side of it, it's about treating people the way you expect to be treated. And if you can have a laugh with them,
I think that's the key. Treat people. I treat people how I would like to be treated. It's as simple as that. And like me and you, you know, it was all them years ago we met. We've been down here today with Steve and the new son Adam, and we've just done that laugh.
Yeah, and that's it.
Taking the mick out, you know, like I would do, because I'm terrible at taking the mick out of Porsches. You know, I love it really, but I just pretend I don't. But you know, it's just, I don't know, we've enjoyed it. We've just had a laugh.
Yeah, and I think life is too short not to. And I think mainly with the internet, it's made the car game as such a much bigger circle of friends. As much as it's done good, of course, I think a lot of people will say it's all bad. But one of the things that I love about it is you can go somewhere like you just said, we haven't seen each other for years. We spoke on the phone periodically, we've crossed paths, but when we actually caught up at the NEC was a good laugh, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And the fact is that people, if you enjoy your job, you can make money out of your job, and you can have a laugh. What more can you really ask out of it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think, like you said, there's a lot of, especially over the last 5 years, there's a lot of dealers, whatever you want to call them, have been and gone.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. They've come out in big time. A lot of, especially, there's been a massive amount of classic car dealers, haven't there? They've all jumped on the Ford bandwagon, and not many of them have survived. I think it's because they've gone down the hammer to make money, and that's it. And I don't think
They don't care about that.
I don't think that works anymore. I think you've got to be, you've got to be friendly with people, haven't you? And it works. As you can see, you've been successful in what you do. So, I am going to put you on the spot.
Go on.
Why did you first ever contact me?
Because I never learned. I used to have a Welltail Cosworth, one of the ones from many years ago, and it was raining, and I came into an island way too quick on opposite lock, flicked it the other way, lost it and smashed the back axle off it. Well, no,
This car we sold has never been rallied worse.
But to make matters worse, and if I didn't learn, I thought I'd have a go at the same island the following week in the rain again, thinking it's not going to get me twice, and it got me a second time, and I did it again, which is where you came into it, because I had my own spares. Obviously, I had to ring Paul, another Cobbles breaker from down south. I still believe he's going.
Yeah, Gary Harris.
Gary helped me out with some parts. I met Paul. I sort of kept in touch ever since.
Yeah, that's great. So now we've embarrassed them. What we'd like to do is fancy showing us some new cars.
Well, if you fancy having a go, Paul, because you said to me you want to go.
Watch me back, Steve. And then obviously just
Right our paddle for Oxy.
what's it like on fuel list?
It's actually quite good, all things considered, to be fair. I've never
driving
really
now?
took note of it. When I'm on the motorway, I would say it's probably returning mid-20s.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so. When you're leathering it, obviously it's in
Yeah.
the teens, but we're happily paying the privilege, so that's part of the fun. When I listen to that exhaust note, I'm happy to burn the fuel.
I was going to say it's worth every penny.
Absolutely.
People who complain, they buy a car like this and moan about fuel economy, but buy a Fiesta.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll do the Cardinal sin and buy an electric car. Ooh,
No thanks.
no chance.
We've got a right here, do we?
Yeah, we've got quite a lot of traffic now, so
Yeah.
we'd still go right, but it'll just take a little while to get out of it.
Am I going to be converted?
Time will tell, but you're smiling already driving towards traffic lights. And they're on red. So that's a good sign.
So we're in race mode,
We are, that's correct.
and what does that do?
Basically, in obviously improves the gear shift, so it's much faster through the gears. It ups its performance, hardens the suspension, all the stuff that realistically what you expect it to do. Yeah. It's 425 horsepower approximately. Well, you've got green, you're lucky. It's about 200 kgs lighter than a normal 360.
Quite a bit lighter.
It
then,
is
isn't
actually quite a bit light. I mean, we have no carpets or anything, and that's part of its charm.
Well, that's what I liked about this
Yeah.
one, innit? You know, I can only compare it to my GT350R, which is Ford's version of this car, really, and no back seats, diff coolers, gearbox coolers, carbon fibre wheels, V8 with, which I believe was stolen from Ferrari anyway, the flat plane crank.
Oh yeah.
Which makes it rev for a V8 because V8s historically don't rev.
No, they don't. They're quite lazy engines,
Yeah,
actually.
a lot of torque but don't rev. But the flat plane cranking, I believe Ferraris, Lamborghinis, is what makes them rev.
It does, yeah.
So the Ford stole that for the GT350R, which is 526 horsepower, I believe it's mine. So it's by no means a slow car, but it's a heavy car.
Yeah. What's the weight of one of those?
I would guess 1800, probably even 2 ton. It's a big, huge car, massive. 2 inches wider than a standard Mustang, 2 inches lower, but not 2 inches on the suspension. They actually dropped the nose of the car 2 inches to get better airflow with it. I think when you look at it, the clever engineers at Ford had taken a look at a lot of cars like this and looked at low nose.
One of the things that they did with these to make them lighter was that the actual bumpers are really heavy. Really heavy.
Really?
So when they did the bumper on the Stradale, not only have they made it slightly lower to increase the downforce and aerodynamics, they also made the bumpers out of a much lighter composite. And you'll be surprised at the difference things like that make on it. But they fluctuate a bit on weight anyway, because some of them they don't have electric windows on the side, they have like little plexiglass with hatches. It's all about the specifications. But as a rule, they're all around 1200 kg, some a little bit under, some a little bit over.
Because they're quite a big car as well, aren't
Yeah,
they?
they are.
They're a long, big white car, aren't they? And what amazed me was you told me not to lift my foot off on gear changes. Completely unnatural
It is.
to not lift your foot off.
But it makes you realise how even an old school paddle shift gearbox, of this era, because this is basically a manual gearbox with a robotic setup on the side of it, and it does the throttle and the gear shift for you on the paddle movement. And even though it's a bit crude in its way of working, it's an early design, you still cannot change gear as quick as this can. When you drive the more modern ones, like the latest ones, the 296s, the Speciales, the 488s, all different eras, but all of, say, the last 8 years of production, all those cars change gear that quick, you can't even feel it happen. No. All you can hear is the exhaust note change.
You didn't know what it was though. I seen this and I knew instantly what it was.
Yeah.
Whereas I said to Adam, I said, this is more of a car for me than that one sat in there. Because I know what it is.
But I get that now.
Yeah.
Because, like we were just saying, who gives a shit what it looks like?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You just don't care when you're in it, do you? You just, the torque and the fact that you can go into a 30 zone and you're in fifth and you just go from ballistic speed, 60, we never went above 60, did we? Down to 30 mile an hour. And you don't feel unsafe in it. It's quite bumpy on some of them back roads, wasn't it? But it doesn't jump about. Even though some quite...
It is. I mean, some of the roads are really quite bad, actually, to be fair.
And it just doesn't move.
I do half think Telford Council are trying to turn them to a BMX track on the quiet.
Well, yeah, I think they're trying to make you buy more wheels. Honestly, what a proper. I could buy this.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Get your book out then. Get your book out.
I won't be selling this one. She's a keeper.
I think my checks have bounced what I need to buy this. But I can sort
These
of...
were reasonable money at one point, weren't they?
Yeah, they were.
I remember when I looked at the original road cars of these, and I said to Adam, I thought you could pick these up for about 70 at one point.
I've never seen Stradales as low as that, but they were certainly in the late 80s.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I was just saying to Paul, is if you think about it, a normal 360 Modena, just a normal road-going coupe with paddle shift, is probably somewhere between a quarter or a third of the price of what these are now. But they're not a quarter of a car. They're 75%.
Yeah.
So, I think a 360 Modena is a lot of car for the money. And it doesn't depreciate. And they're not expensive to maintain so long as you use your head a little bit. You have to shop around if you're going to do work yourself. But, they can be a lot of car. A lot of car.
I think this is off, what you say, 120,000, is it?
Yeah, this is somewhere between 120 and 140 this now.
Which is a huge amount of money, but it isn't really, is
but it isn't. But the thing is,
Not when you think that a new RS5's probably 90 grand.
Yeah, and the thing is with this, in 3 years' time, this will probably be worth 160.
Yeah.
The RS5 will be worth a third of what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely converted. But am I spoiled driving this?
No, I mean, I knew you'd appreciate this more because of the motorsport thing.
Yeah.
But like, say for example, I know that's a completely different price bracket, the 458 Speciale. But oh my God, I mean, you get out of this, it makes this feel prehistoric. I actually like this because I like the agricultural feel of the drive.
That's what I liked about this.
But when you've got something like the Speciale, which does 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds, it gets to 100 quicker than this gets to 60, and it's like 215 odd mile an hour onwards. You know, it makes you appreciate how they've moved the game forward again in only 10 years.
I think the old school in me is why I like this.
Yeah, that's
I,
why
I like the analogue of it. I like the fact that it's got the carbon door panels, and the fact that it's just awesome. It's just
it is.
raw, isn't it? You feel like you're in a race car, don't you?
Absolutely, and I think that's the way it's trying to make you
Yeah,
feel, and
it
I think it does.
Yeah, it does, 100%.
But, you know, I mean, they were the pictures on the wall. You know, a Testarossa was the Miami Vice, absolutely gorgeous. Not sure if I'd want one. I fully love and appreciate them for what they are. But I think that's what it goes back to.
I wish I'd driven one of these years ago. I'd have probably had one.
You'd still have it as well.
I can't believe you're saying this.
I can't, because I've always said, as I said when we were out there, I've always known the engineering in these is what you're buying. You're buying a Ferrari, aren't you? Simple as that. But you have to drive them, and you have to drive them on roads like that.
I didn't think we'd have converted you.
Well, honestly, I think it's
Hang on, I'll warm the back tyre.
yeah, incredible car.
No, you know, he's properly driven it, and that's what it's there for. You don't
Well,
drive one.
you can't appreciate it unless you drive it.
No, absolutely
hard,
not.
can you? Even though it's a lovely car to drive around at 40 mile an hour, unless you can give it some back roads and proper listen to that note change when you get to 59 miles an hour.
Which at the proper challenge race
Yeah.
cars.
Awesome.
But there's a lot of little differences about a Stradale that until it's parked next to a normal 360 Modena, you don't actually notice. But it's like the side skirts hang about 1.5 inches lower.
They're a lot squarer, aren't they?
That's right. The front bumper, the little winglets at the bottom stick out further and they're lower. On the back, you've got diffusers built into the back bumper. And I love the little kick on the boot lid.
Yeah.
And this is a personal thing now. For me, a Stradale has to have the painted stripe. But that's a personal thing. You know, where if I'd gone and ordered one of these new, this would be the look I would like.
Yeah.
Let me get out while I can get out. I'm saying what we're doing is I'm taking this home.
Because I love the clack of the
It'd
gear.
be quite difficult, is it, to get it in? Or
When
is
it's
it?
cold. You
No, I
have
mean, oh yeah, you can't miss it. You know, because it's gated.
Yeah,
You think, can I miss it? But
No,
you
it's
can't.
actually quite precise, and I love the tactile feel of it. But what I do find with the manual is obviously, you know, you have to let them warm up the manual shift. But I love the 355. I think
This
it's a
is a
beautiful
nice-
shape.
And how much money is in one of these?
These have gone up drastically. This is a very early car with no airbag, which is probably the most desirable one. A good no airbag car now realistically is 90,000 plus now. Yeah.
But you see, I'm in this, and straight away doesn't do out for me.
Yeah, no, that's a fair comment.
Not like that does.
Yeah.
I like the race car of that. I like the fact it's got nothing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is a pretty car, but just, I think it's just...
But what I think about this is it's that kind of supercar look when we was, you know, as a kid and you drew the shape of a supercar with pop-up
This is it,
headlights,
innit?
this is it,
Yeah,
that's
this
it,
is-
yeah.
But that is just stunning, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a stunning car. Well, this is, what year is this?
1994.
It feels older.
It is. It's an old design, to be fair. The one at the back is the predecessor called the 348, and that is the evolution of this.
Right.
The way I always say it to people, our generation, that's the Mark III Escort. This is the Mark IV.
But the dash layout on this looks early 80s,
Yeah, it is.
doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it is, and that's how they were in the 80s. They've not really changed.
But
much
having
like
said that, I've noticed that with all supercars, I think it's because of the price tag, you expect them to evolve. But
Yeah.
they're sort of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. I mean, you do very much find with most supercars, it's more like evolution than revolution.
Yeah. We've drastically updated the engine, but the rest you
But
can
it's
sod
still the
off.
same,
You're
yeah.
getting what you get, and that's it. I mean, even steering wheel on that. It's not nice.
It's a
is
Momo.
it? Yeah,
A Momo.
but it's not a nice steering wheel, is it? That one is a lovely steering wheel.
They're actually very, very desirable.
Are they?
Yeah, because it's not got an airbag in it, it's proper old school.
Yeah, old school,
Yeah.
80s wheel, innit?
Yeah. A lot of later 355s have a big airbag in, which is a bit dopey looking, and people revert back to that.
It's a bit like when they went to airbags on Escort causes and that, innit?
Exactly,
You get in
yeah.
and you just look
And
at steering wheel. and
what's
go,
that?
What on earth is that? Looks like it was a 1.6.
Quick, let's go down by the Rally Sport RS wheel.
I do like the seats in it though, like you said, the
You
Recaro.
can't beat Recaro.
Cosy Recaros, aren't they?
What we knew, innit? When I first bought the 355, I had my 348. Now, I think that's a beautiful looking car, but they don't drive the best. They're not bad, and they certainly don't deserve the punishment they got in the press at the time.
No.
But they don't drive what you think a supercar would drive. And when I bought my first 355, this is my second one, but when I bought my first one, I rang the guy up, and he was down south for sale. And I said to him, I said, if you don't mind, I said, if I give you 500 quid deposit, can I drive the car for 30 minutes or maybe a bit longer? And if I don't buy it, would that be all right? And he went, are you taking the mick? And I said, no, seriously. And he said, yeah, I'm sure you're serious. Who do you think you are, Billy Connolly? And I said, sorry, can I reiterate? I forgot to say that if I don't buy the car, give me half of it back.
Yeah.
And he said, so you're trying to say to me, you want to rent my 355 off me for 30, 40 minutes for 250 quid? I said, that's exactly what I'm saying. He said, can I ask why? I said, I've got a Ferrari 348. He said, you don't need to tell me anymore. And I said, really? He goes, yeah. He said, come on down. So I went down and I was in that for 30 seconds. And that was the car that I felt the 348 should be. The drive is that different.
You see, I'd probably be disappointed with this, wouldn't I? After driving that.
Certainly after driving the Stradale, because it's a very different car, but I don't think you'd be disappointed with it.
No, what I mean is I've been spoiled with that, haven't I? Because
Yeah.
that's me. It's a race car.
Yeah.
And I like race cars.
Yeah.
This is a Ferrari road car, isn't it?
It is,
It's
but
fast, it sounds nice, it looks
But
nice.
it still has that race origin underneath it when you drive it. You know when you drive it, the way it is on the road.
But you see, what's weird is there'll be a million people opposite to me. I sat in that car and straight away loved the rawness of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what appeals to me.
100%. I look in this and I just think. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
The outside is beautiful, but I think Ferraris have always been like that.
Yeah.
The inside lets them down.
Yeah, I myself personally, I see a Ferrari as a motoring art form. You know, I understand why people collect Picassos and so on.
Yeah.
I can't afford that kind of thing, and it would never be something I would do if I could.
Yeah.
But to me, as a petrol head, that is my form of art.
And none of them are perfect, are they?
No,
you never find a
absolutely
car
not.
that has a perfect
No
interior.
two are ever the same.
A perfect. They're not made for fatties, are they? Ferraris? Right, we're going to go one extreme to other. What's this? I love this.
This is a wonderful old Bentley Series 1.
I tell you what, I sat in it early, didn't I, Steve?
It's like a big armchair. You feel like you want to sit in and have a cup of coffee in there.
But it's tiny, isn't it?
Yeah. It's such a big car.
Unbelievably small inside.
Do you know, I love the colour scheme. And I don't know why, because I don't particularly like burgundy. I'm not a massive silver car lover, but
It just works.
it just works. It just works.
And I mean, how much would this have been new?
Well, that's a good question.
It'd have been more than that, wouldn't it?
I bet you. Do you know what? And on a serious note, though, if it was absolutely a concours winner, it still isn't worth what we think it should be worth.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It is a shame, really, almost, isn't it?
But what a great...
It's
you know, when you
good.
look around this, this unit and you think, we've got Ferraris, we've got Porsche.
And we're talking about the old Bentley.
But isn't that just a beautiful
It
car?
is.
And I thought it'd be the V12, but you said it's a 6-cylinder.
Yeah. Yeah, early Series 1.
So it'll be as slow as it looks.
Oh yeah, you almost need a cranking handle to wind it up. But you know what? All things said and done, it happily purrs. And you know that thing where they say about Bentleys, you could put a cup of water on the top. It is still like that.
Yeah. You could just sit at 70 in this for 2,000 miles, couldn't you? And not have to get out.
You'd have to do the royal wave as you went past.
I do that in my Fiesta.
That's a two-fingered wave. I don't think that quite counts.
So what else have we got Ferrari-wise?
This one's known as a Mondial T.
A four-seater.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the rare things about this is they didn't make many. This was right at the end of Mondial production. Now, basically, that one there is known as a 348, so 3.4 V8. All the running gear out of that is basically what's in this.
Right.
So the T stands for transverse engine.
You know, I'm learning so much. I have no clue about Ferraris at all.
So the T is actually a very, very rare car, and I have to say, early Mondials, they're a bit of a muchness. You either love them or you hate them. These, I have to say, drive really nicely. They're really nice to drive.
And what are we looking at there? Just under 50,000.
Yeah, and slowly appreciating. Well, I mean, a few years ago, this same car wasn't 20 grand.
Really?
Yeah, in 4 to 5 years, it's doubled and more. And I think it's because they've got kind of old school cool.
Yeah. Everything becomes retro, doesn't
It does.
I said to somebody on it the other day, if somebody had said to you 20 years ago that a Montego Turbo was going to become a classic car,
I know, and be collectible.
you'd have shot them, wouldn't you, and put them out of the misery. Everything, when it gets to 25 years old, everything becomes cool.
It does. It does.
And like you say, but even now, you look at that and you think, a Ferrari for 50 grand.
Yeah.
What do you get for 50 grand?
Yeah.
You know.
And you've still got that beautiful V8 under there.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about the Challenge Stradale, but you've got to think the engine in that Challenge Stradale has evolved from that.
From this, yeah. And it just doesn't seem a lot of money, does it?
No, it doesn't. And then this one here is, I've had her a long time. Another one I would never sell. I think it's that Miami Vice thing. It's like a baby Testarossa.
It's the
Strakes in the doors. Yeah,
I mean, we all remember that, don't we? Black interior, because they always seem to be cream.
Yeah,
Ferrari.
it is quite rare, black. That's a Targa top one as well. And so I've owned this car actually for quite a long time, even longer than the 355. So many years ago, I resprayed it because basically the paint, you polish it and it would start to turn pink again.
Typical red, isn't it? Once it's gone, it's gone.
And it spent the early part of its life, the first 4 years, living in Italy, down in Sicily. So what I thought was, I'll completely strip it, I'll respray it, I'll do it in clear over base. That way the sun's not going to attack it. So I've got a spray booth around the other unit. So put your trade to good use. So be it. I went out in the rain in it the one day, got caught out in a rainstorm, and the water was continually dripping in on my knee. I thought, this is terrible. Looked at the other side, it was dripping in the same place. So I thought, it needs new seals. So I rang Ferrari. I said, I need some new seals from the 348, it's leaking on the roof. And they said, where's it leaking? I said, the front corners, both sides. Just the front corners. I said, yeah, just the front corners. That's a good one. So what do you mean that's a good one? He said, well, normally they leak on all four corners. So I laughed. I said, well, what does Ferrari say about that? Most of the time it doesn't rain in Italy.
So in other words, either move to Italy or live with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant.
Hence why she's only ever come out on the dry days ever since.
So left and right hand drive, are a lot of Ferraris left hand drive?
No, different models drive differently. My first one of these was a right hand drive and I didn't particularly take to it. I never felt it handled that very good. It felt a bit unsafe almost. The left hand drive cars are better. I've since been told a later one is better anyway because they kept evolving to try and get them to drive a lot better. So this is a very late car.
Right.
It's a late 94, so it's towards the end of production. But the left hand drives, apparently the shells are corner balanced.
Right.
And they are better in their left hand drive position.
Well, that's funny that because the 500s are the same. I've driven right and left hand drive and I'm not a professional driver, but I seem to take to left hand drive really easily. And every driver I know, professional driver, said the Sierras as a left-hand drive car,
they're a better car.
Incredibly better balanced as a left-hand drive car. And obviously the biggest bonus is the turbos on this side.
Yeah.
So the exhaust runs down away from the driver so you don't get as hot But I just noticed, obviously, we've got a mixture of left and right hand drive, and I thought, is it import cars, non-import?
No, it is definitely, having driven them both, I personally feel by a mile the left-hand drive ones are better. And the later cars, I think it may be a bit of a combination because my first one was a very early car. It was a 1990 and it was right-hand drive, whereas that's 94 and it's left-hand drive. So I think there is a big difference noticeable between those two cars anyway.
And isn't it funny how if you tried to sell somebody a Ford Mondeo and it was a left hooker, you won't be able to give it away. But when you a certain breed of cars becomes irrelevant, whether it's left or right hand drive, nobody's bothered, are they?
I think the other thing as well is a lot of people from Europe come and buy the left-hand drive cars and take them back over there. And I don't know if I'm out of order saying this, but I do think, possibly Germany accepted from this rule, that a lot of left-hand drive cars in their own country are quite often in bad condition.
Right. So they want to come over and buy the better the more looked after cars.
I mean, in Germany, to be fair, they do keep their cars very well, but like you see some cars in France,
they just don't maintain.
No, they don't. And I think they know when they're close enough when they've hit it. That seems to be the parking approach in France.
Have you ever been to Portugal?
Exactly the same, and Spain.
Bang! Oh, that'll do.
That's I'm in. So I think people will fly over because obviously they'll buy it a little bit cheaper, but there isn't that much of a difference in certain cars between left and right hand drive. Whereas in other cars, like you said, say a Mondeo,
can't give it away.
Yeah, absolutely. It's plummeted in price.
Illegal immigrant over here. This is interesting to me because I remember not long ago, you would be lucky to get a can of Coke and a crisp packet from one of these. You couldn't give one away. And yet, these have suddenly shot up.
They developed quite an iconic status, actually. And in their defence, I think the 924 Turbo was a bit tarnished with the reputation of the normal 924, which is actually a nice little car to drive. However, it is quite underpowered.
What this is,
the normal 924. The Turbo, as I think, this is off the top of my head now, but I think they're approximately 175 to 180 brake horsepower.
Which isn't bad for a little car like that, is it?
And this pulls very well, but it is noticeably quicker.
Right.
And I think that's part of the thing, isn't it?
People want everything, don't they? And I think the thing is as well, this is a small Porsche car. It's a Porsche. So everybody wants you to go fast.
Absolutely,
it's got to go fast. So, but 180 in a what will
one of the things I like about this, it's a dogleg gearbox, which I actually quite find. And this is a dogleg gearbox.
Right.
And I actually quite like that about it. That makes it again feel that little bit more special.
What make is a gearbox? Do you know? Not a Getrag, I don't.
I think it is Getrag.
Is it a Getrag? Because they're famous for their.
I think it is a Getrag box. And I just think it's actually really nice to drive. It's quite good fun.
Because these were always the entry level
Porsche. Right?
These were the guy who won the lottery and won £7.50. And wanted a Porsche, so he bought a 928. But having said that, you know, again, I tell you what, the colour for these, if you see a black or a red one, they look totally different.
They do.
In red or black, does this car. But when you get to the wide body one, completely transformed. Looking at just for a bit of flair. But again, I was talking earlier to you about if I won the lottery and had unlimited space, I'd buy all the 80s cars.
Because we like that box arch.
That box arch,
that
the
aggressive
Quattros, the Evos, everything like that. And even the 944.
The thing as well is, if you think about it back to the 80s, the box arch thing wasn't just from the manufacturers. I mean, you think Dimmer did it to make a T16 look like 205. And then you used to get the Escorts with the kits on it. What were they called? They had sort of like a Ferrari back end on it. Was it Riga?
Somewhat like that.
Riga
horrendous, but it was that all you did was go like that.
That's it.
There was no style but they looked fabulous, didn't they? They looked great. So what have we got here, this one?
This is what we call the perfect 911.
All right.
For a modern 911, very usable, very sensible running costs and maintenance, pretty well depreciation proof.
So is this what you would class as sort of an everyday part?
Yeah, and it's for the first entry into Porsche 911 ownership, that's like the perfect car. It's what we call the 997 Generation 2. It's a very good engine.
And not a lot of money.
Yeah, very good engine. I mean, look at its condition. You know, this car's like 15 years old nearly now.
Because they don't seem to suffer from corrosion.
No, that's the beauty of the galvanised bodies.
Yeah. Well, a pretty car, innit, for not a lot of money.
Absolutely. And it's a good colour because it shows off its shape really well.
Yeah. And this looks to me like a big step up from that.
That is the turbo version of that, basically.
Right.
But this one's a
That's
special.
the 924.
You got it. So this is Turbo S.
Yeah.
So these are actually becoming very collectible now. They're quite a rare car, the Turbo S. And they are really starting to collectible. Great car to drive. They go obviously ridiculously well. And they're very reliable. You know, and then you move on again, and they only ever evolve.
This is probably one of the very few Porsches that I can recognise, and I know what it is by looking at it, because this is the boy racer's dream Porsche.
It's got the scaffolding in the back and everything.
Yeah, a beautiful car. And I've been lucky enough, a friend of mine's got one of these, that same model as that, and I got to drive that. And again, I'm not a Porsche Ferrari supercar man, although I'm converting on the Ferraris after driving yours. I've driven Chris's GT3. Phenomenal car.
Yeah, very much so.
Absolutely phenomenal car. But a great car, but I didn't get out of it and go, I have to have one.
Yeah.
I got out of your Ferrari and thought, I have to have one of these.
I think they're a great car, the engineering, the way they go, you know, again, even if you talk depreciation and all the rest of it that goes with it, it's just a great all-round package. It is a great all-round package. But for me, when I want something really special, it doesn't quite tick that. I can't put my finger on it because I can't fault the car in any way, form or fashion. But it doesn't quite tick the box when I would spend that kind of money. When you think that is a lot newer than my Stradale.
Yeah.
But yet, and that's much faster, much more modern technology, it does everything better, it's better built, etc., etc. Yet you put the two of them side by side, and I call it the garage door syndrome. And if I had an electric garage door and they were both sat there, I'll always open the Ferrari every time.
Well, I get that look at having the pleasure of driving yours today. The first time I've ever driven a Ferrari, and I have driven one of these previously, and they're a world apart.
Yeah, they are.
Like you say, not saying anything bad about it.
No, brilliant car. Absolutely
car.
Brilliant car.
But I think a true petrol head, because we both get that car.
We do.
That Ferrari. We both get
We do.
And it is the rawness. It is the...
It's the way it makes you feel.
Yeah, and you said straight away, didn't you? I've been in that, we'd got just out of
you
town,
were quarter mile up the road and you were already grinning.
I was grinning.
Yeah, and for me, I think that's what it's all about.
It is, yeah. So what's...
This is what we call the latest shape. This is known as a 911 992 turbo. You know,
is that an upgrade of that then?
So yes, basically.
Yeah.
You know, ridiculously quick, refined. It does everything really well. You can't say it doesn't. You know, four-wheel drive, ridiculously quick. Everything state-of-the-art technology on it, etc., etc. This one's quite a high spec with a lot of carbon. It's got what's known as aero pack. So the boot spoiler obviously goes up, which is a known thing with the turbos. But this has like little, if you look at it underneath, that comes that comes down at speed.
Yeah, different to that, isn't it?
There's lots of little you know, that's actually quite a very high spec car.
Yeah.
Full PPF, which keeps it mint.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a lovely car.